of holiness, one must return the body to silence, to the stillness from which it was created. They thought him poetic, but in private, his notebooks told another story. Hidden between pages of moral philosophy were diagrams of the human ear and skull, sketches of rib cages labeled with frequencies, and crude blueprints of narrow wooden enclosures. In the margins, he wrote phrases that looked more like prayers than instructions. To quiet the body is to clean the soul. Corruption hums before it bleeds. Silence them until they shine. The Haven became his laboratory of grace. Once a week, the children were called into the chapel and told to prepare for cleansing. They were bathed in cold water and dressed in linen gowns so white they seemed to glow against their skin. Elias would stand at the front, his hands folded, eyes lifted toward the cross, as if listening to something beyond hearing. Then he would nod to the attendants, and the selected children, usually the ones who cried most or disobeyed small rules, would be led away in silence. The others watched, uneasy but trusting, because Elias told them the cleansed would return purified. And they did return, thin, pale and trembling, whispering that they had seen light even in the dark. Below the chapel, the narrow wooden boxes stood in a single row, built to the measurements Elias had recorded in his notes. Each was lined with soft fabric to keep the children's bodies unmarked. A small brass plate, engraved with Latin, was fixed above each door. The plates hummed faintly when touched, resonating with a pitch only Elias seemed to understand. The process began at dawn. He would open one box at a time, speak softly to the child, and guide them inside. The lids closed gently, leaving only a slit for air and the faint vibration of metal against wood. The hum would rise gradually, a sound that was not mechanical but organic, like breath turned into music. Elias described it as the soul's echo, adjusting itself to holiness. The children stayed there for days without sound, light, or touch. He called it spiritual resonance. In his journal, he wrote that the deprivation of sound did not destroy the mind, but tuned it, aligning it to divine frequency. He measured time not by hours, but by heartbeats, counting each one aloud as he walked the corridor between boxes. When the heartbeats slowed, he said, the body was learning silence. When they nearly stopped, he called it a victory over noise. He recorded these moments with careful detail, temperature, pulse, breath rate, as if charting a patient's recovery. To him, their suffering was not cruelty, but surgery, a removal of something diseased. Anna Mercer began to fade from view during those weeks. She avoided her husband's eyes, keeping to the garden or the sick ward. She no longer entered the